What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Crush Live Collins. I am your host here, Bart Hansen, and we do this show every single Monday at 5 Eastern Time. So we moved the show up so that it would not conflict with TCH Live because I've been playing on TCH Live a lot, doing a lot of commentary on TCH Live, things like that conflicted. So I was like, all right, let's just stick the show here. Gives me enough time. So I had planned on playing TCH Live tonight, but I canceled a few hours ago because I had something done this morning that was supposed to be not major, very sort of small medical procedure that took 5 minutes, and I am in pain, and I continue to be in pain, and it hurts to sit down. If that gives you any type of clue as to what kind of medical thing that I had some banding done. And I was like, oh man, am I going to be able to make it to play? And then I texted them at like 3 p.m. I'm like, there's just no way. I can't sit there for 4 hours. By the way, you might actually see me stand up during the show too for a little bit. I'm dead serious. But we've got 3 callers here today, so it's going to be a slightly abbreviated show. And I'm not playing tonight because, like I said, I'm in pain. I'm going to try to trek through this as much as I possibly can. But if you do want to get on the show, of course, you can email me at bart@crushlivepoker.com, bart@crushlivepoker.com. And, of course, if you're a Crush Live Poker subscriber, you will always get priority. And please tell me that you are a subscriber in the subject matter or the first couple of sentences. Tell me you're a CLP sub because I read them all and I don't, cross-post every single thing. So please do that. And then especially for a lot of you non-subs, give me a hand history that is not text, that doesn't go into too much detail, that's not a hand replayer. I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated here at some of the stuff that you guys send me. It really is not that hard. It's just like a hand history. That's all that really needs to be done. Yes, Bill Coughlin, that is what I have. Hemorrhoids, banding. I had hemorrhoids, banding, and it was supposed to be painless, and it's not. So, anyways, let's get into it here. And so we got Andrew Vodine, and I think that's how you pronounce his last name, the vlogger. And he looks like he's going to be the second one here on the show. And then we've got this guy who I've been trying to get in touch with for quite some time or get him on the show because he's got a cool hand. So let's start this off here with, this is Vamsy. Is that right? Vamsy in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, almost, but it's Vamsi.
Vamsy.
You
Is
got
a
it. Yeah,
Vamsy. Vamsy.
Vamsi. Yes.
Vamsy. Is that Indian?
Yes, I'm Indian. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, Vamsy, you got a hand for us?
Yep. You want me to start it
Yep,
off?
start it off.
So this is from 2-5, playing at MGM National Harbor.
2-5, MGM National Harbor, and I think our last call is going to be from there as well, which is, of course, MGM National Harbor is in Virginia, right? Or Maryland? I can't remember. It's not in D.C. proper, is it?
It's not. It's in Maryland, but
Maryland, okay.
it's like 10
Yeah.
minutes from downtown DC.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're 8-handed. This was, I think, almost 1.5 months back. I think 2 months almost.
Okay.
So under the gun limps for $5. He's 1,500 effective.
Okay.
And everybody folds to me. I'm in the cutoff. I have him covered. I'm sitting with over 3K.
Okay.
And the max buy-in in this game is 1,000.
Right. Two to 5, 1,000. Right. Cap. Okay. Yeah.
So I raised to $30.
So you raised to 30. Oh, give me 1 second here. I meant to do this thing. Hold, give me 1 second. We're gonna. Some of these, I know it's not on your end, caller, but some of these, when I've watched back to some of these, our best of things, I hear
This call is being recorded.
a popping, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. So I'm gonna record this and set a backup, so possibly I can get rid of that. But all right, so let's go back here. So Under the gun limps to 15. Under the gun with 1500. Limps in here
Mm-hmm.
on the cutoff, covers, and you raise to
30, 6 big blinds.
okay.
And should I tell my hand
Yes.
or
Yeah.
do
Go
we
ahead.
do that?
Hmm.
So I have pocket eights, 8 of spades, 8 of clubs.
Okay. Yep.
So everyone folds and small blind flats.
Okay.
He's also around 2K, but it doesn't matter. He eventually folds later in the hand. So
Okay. So he flats. Okay, and then under the gun calls too.
under the gun completes. Yeah.
All right. So limp 30 call. Okay. Typical. Seems like a typical live setup. Just under probably $100 in the pot, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So the flop is queen 7, queen of diamonds, queen of spades, 7 of clubs.
Queen of diamonds, queen of spades, 7 of clubs. Okay. So you've got second pair to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Queen 7. Not really a huge draw out there. I assume if it gets checked to you, I mean, does it get checked to you here?
It does it. It checks to me.
Okay, so it checks to you. So your hand obviously needs a little bit of protection here. Well, actually needs quite a bit of protection. So, I think the theory goes here that kind of the smaller your pair is to, to whatever sort of the second card is here, which is the 7, the more you actually want to be betting, right? Like if you had aces or kings or jacks, you could bet less going down the line, but especially with eights here, I would want to bet, but you don't have to bet large. I mean, you can go 35 to 40, something like that.
Yeah, but a half-ish part, 45. I was thinking maybe I should have sized it up a little, but considering, I mean, I know we don't have a very strong hand, but we are very deep, right?
You were thinking about sizing it up because you were deep, like you were gonna like turn your hand into a bluff later on, or what?
No, in case we hit our hand, or maybe in case we're against a 7 or 6s or 5s, we want to get more money. And I mean, I guess it would get difficult later on to play a very big part with just 8s. But
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna adjust this for the people on the live stream because I just realized that it was a little bit. There we go. There's something to be said for about building like a little bit of a pot up to hit the nuts, but usually that's sort of like with some fold equity with a flush draw, something like that. I mean, honestly, like because I mean, in theory, you should probably call to a check raise at least once, but there's really no draw out there. I don't know. I just don't think you need to go large, but whatever. Okay, so you bet 45. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so both call.
Both call. Wow, that's interesting. So small blind and under the gun call. And that's really kind of scary because when you look at the flop, like I said, the texture of this, which is queen of diamonds, queen of spades, 7 of clubs, so no flush draw. What is the guy from under the gun like overcalling with?
Yeah, well, I considered like it's a small bet, and we are so deep. They could be calling with Jack 10 of spades. I mean, at bottom of their range is Jack 10 of spades, Jack 10 of diamonds, Jack 10 of clubs, right? Because it's so small, 45 into
I mean,
90.
you're
And
not really supposed to. I mean, first of all, it's not that small. And second of all, like, they shouldn't be calling with backdoor Broadway draws. No, on a paired board, when a guy calls in between them, they're going to overcall. I mean, they're not supposed to. You're definitely supposed to be defending a lot tighter in a spot like this. But I mean, maybe once in a while. But okay, so 135 here. Looks like the pot is like maybe 230 to the turn. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the term?
Turn is 8 of diamonds.
8 of diamonds. Okay. Wow. So you now make a boat.
Yeah, basically the best card.
Yep. That is a pretty good card for sure. That is a very, very good card because chances are one of these guys is gonna have hopefully that they have a queen, right? Especially when the guy overcalls. Okay.
Yeah. So again, both check to me in
Okay.
flow. So we bet like 150 now.
Hero bets 150. Okay.
With the diamond draw now coming in.
Yep.
The backdoor diamond draw.
Backdoor diamond draw. Yep.
And at this point, we want somebody to definitely have a queen, right?
Yep.
So, 150, the small blind folds and under the gun call.
All right, so small blind folds, under the gun calls. So it's interesting here too because now there aren't two people in the pot. So maybe if a guy was slow playing a queen like the under the gun, he doesn't necessarily feel incentivized at that much to check raise here, or he could, I guess, be playing it somewhat defensively. Like I don't really have much of a limping range in a full ring game, but I mean, if you could sort of picture like a queen 10 suited type of hand, if the pre-flop raiser were to bet twice here, you might take that into a check call, sort of check call, check call, check call range because, you know, once you sort of double barrel the turn, you look pretty strong. So there's really no reason to raise. You're either behind or you're bluffing. So you're basically inducing a bluff. So, I mean, that's kind of what I would think with a sort of a weak queen if I was ever in this particular spot. So now the pot's 530. Okay.
Yeah. So the river is the king of diamonds.
By the way, the under the gun started with 1500, so that means that he has 1300 left. You bet 150 into 230 on the turn.
Yeah.
I sort of washed over this. I got to be honest with you, I'd probably go up at least to 200, and maybe even go full pot. I mean, it's a little bit subtle, but the more you get to bet, the more, because it's just someone's going to have a queen here basically all day long. I just, again, it would have to be a very, very overly optimistic scenario for that under the gun guy to have like some weak hand that just overcalled the flop, and he's gonna fold out if he has the weak hand anyway. So if he's gonna call 150, maybe he's gonna call 200. But anyways, I digress. All right, so go to the river.
Sorry, on the 150 versus 200, I did consider betting big versus small, and
Yeah.
I thought betting smaller would induce check raises.
Yeah.
Then betting bigger, right? And well,
Yeah,
I
but I
guess I
mean,
bet in the middle.
if you were gonna bet small though, why not go like 80 or 90 to induce a check raise? You kind of
Right,
went like
right.
in
Even
between.
smaller, but
Right.
right.
So I can sort of see what you have. So all right, so what's the river here?
River is king of diamonds.
King of diamonds. Wow. Okay, that's very interesting. So it brings the backdoor diamond draw in. So it's queen of diamonds, queen of spades, seven of clubs, eight of diamonds, king of diamonds. But there is a slight possibility, I guess, that he may be limping here with king
With king
queen,
queen, yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that, queen jack, queen ten. Obviously, I'm going to bet if check to for sure.
right. So he leads for 200.
He leads. Wow.
Yeah, he donk leads for 200.
So UTG leads. Wow, that's less scary. That's definitely less scary than if he were to check raise. Like if you, let's say for example, he checked, you bet, he check raised you, you just call. I mean, unless it was like something crazy, right? But here he's leading. I think what's important too when you look at this, you're looking at sort of flop, suit distribution when you're looking at the possibility of a backdoor. The fact that 7x of diamonds is possible here makes a huge difference. Like if he's got a7 of diamonds,
A7 of diamonds, yeah.
yeah, 6-7 of diamonds, something like that, because it could have been that's not possible. If the 7 of diamonds, was out there, it wouldn't make any sense, right? Like if it was like black queens here, right? Like if it came like queen of spades, queen of clubs, 7 of diamonds, and then it came 8 of diamonds, king of diamonds, that's a lot different than, especially if you had like, well, excuse me, you have pocket eights, but he could have queen x of diamonds, but that's a lot different than this particular scenario where he can have 7 of diamonds. And I think it sort of makes me think back to what you're saying on the flop. Well, could he have some sort of jack 10 types of hands that might fit into diamonds? Although I do think that that's relatively unlikely. I actually think it's probably, even if he were to just have like 6-7 of diamonds, ace-7 of diamonds, maybe you also beat, I guess I'm trying to think, 9-7 of diamonds. Even if there's only like, say, like 3 7x of diamonds combos, I still probably think that that's much, much more likely than him having king queen here and taking this line. So I would raise, and I'm trying to think if there's enough here. So he's got 1,300 left. He bets 200, so that means he's got 11. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily jam because you don't want to make somebody make like a hero fold with like, because you could also have kings, but I might make it like 600 here, and then he would have what, like two, so that would be 6, 8. He'd have like 700 left. I mean, I guess you could make it like 500 and then almost leave yourself like an escape hatch for a bet 3-bet, but that's like awfully. Every time I use that, I try to give that example to somebody, like they raise and then they forget to fold. But it's interesting because of the pots, because of the nature of like sort of the size of the pot, where he's betting 200. He's got, he's already committed 200 to the hand before, so he's got like 1100 left. So if you make it 6 and he basically jams, you're going to be very, very pot stuck here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, when he led out, yeah, it felt like diamonds or maybe some queen 10, queen jack, that's betting for like a blocker bet,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously we're raising, right? I did think about king queen and other queen x. I mean queen 7, queen 8. Since he limped from
Guy,
under the gun. Yeah,
I have to.
I know. I wish.
No. I'm not. I'm laughing at the chat because sometimes you don't know if these guys are trolling or not. Does a flush call, guys? What games are you playing in? Does a flush call? If a flush doesn't call here, then why can't the guy on the caller just raise with any 2 cards then? All in. It's mind-boggling. Maybe I was a little bit irritated because of the Apostle trolls were back out last night. Well, anyways, what did you do?
I did raise like
Okay.
600.
Okay. Yeah.
I hit the even numbers. I should have made it like 620 something. I
Uh-huh.
always try to do that, but yeah, it was exactly 600. I threw out 6 black chips
Yeah.
out there. And back to him, he goes like hymns and ha's and takes 30 seconds or so, and then jams all in for 1300.
Wow. So UTG jams. See, you might have made it small enough. UTG jams for 1300. So it's 700 more for you to call. Is that right?
Yeah, 7 to 750.
So the pot is probably what? What are we getting for pot odds here? So 730, 1330. Is it like 24, 700 for you to call? Something like that, right?
I thought it was at the time. I thought it was 2100 in the pot, but yeah,
I think it's probably 24
calculated.
because if you start with 1500, right, that would make sense. It's just over, yeah. 2400, 700 for you to call. So you're getting 3.5 to 1 here. Wow, I mean, it's kind of crazy because obviously King Queen should definitely 3-bet jam. Like you should never be worried about kings. And then of course the only thing that you would possibly, oh, by the way, there's another hand that could call you too on the river besides a flush that you beat that's nice too, which is pocket 7s, right? Because I was just going to think, like if a guy check overcall with 7s and then he donked the river because he didn't want to get it checked through, you beat that too. Yeah. But I don't think 7s is going to 3-bet jam here at the end. So, I mean, it's just one of these ones where it's like I have made like 1 or 2 folds in my career like this before. And I would say it might be the best approach to raise fold like crazy. Now, it absolutely would be super unbelievably exploited, but it's just if he's not 3-betting pocket 7s as an overplay, he has no real bluffs here. It just seems like it's always king queen. What ended up happening here?
So no bluffs. Yeah, I mean, anyway, this player, I'll go like maybe 10 seconds about this player. Like, so he's very passive, like extremely passive. He's been limping. I haven't seen him 3-bet pre at all. So he limped onto the gun, right? So anyway, like I didn't find a hand I could beat for value here, right? Like, I mean, most hands he should.
Well, it would have to be 7-7 or like the nut flush, but it's just so unlikely. Did you end up folding or what?
I did. I folded.
Wow. Did you ever find out what he had?
He showed 7s.
7. He showed 7s? Oh
He
no!
did, yeah.
Oh, owned. I can see Thomas putting the thumbnail up. Owned.
That was not owned.
No.
I mean, like I said, he doesn't know what he was doing.
Oh man. Oh boy. Did you have to walk that one off?
I did. I got up and left for the night. Like, I mean, I was winning quite a bit at MGM, like in the recent times. Like, but this one was like I'm almost embarrassed to tell people because it sounds like a nitty fold, right? But in the circumstances, I just felt like I didn't beat any value. It just felt like King Queen or yeah. I mean, I know we shouldn't talk about all junky hands. Queen 7, Queen 8.
Well, that's why it's just
Eh,
like it's really hard to make big laydowns like in a game like at this level because of the fact that you just see like some just stuff here that is it's interesting because I think 7-7 is probably more likely to take this line than King Queen in the form of just betting the river. I honestly do, even though it doesn't. You know what's funny is it sort of highlights the fact that live players don't know what they're doing. It actually makes less sense for 7-7 to do that than King Queen, because he doesn't with 7-7 he's sort of unblocking all those other things, like whereas King Queen he's blocking like a lot of the value, and you might not have anything if he just bets. It's I mean unless he's gonna try to induce somebody to do crazy, but
yeah,
that's nuts, man. That is insane. But thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it.
thank you, but
All
thanks
right,
for doing this show.
you got it. Again, guys, if you want to get on the show, you can email me at bart@crushlivepoker.com. Bart at crush. That's why you flat call the river, Pepe Sylvia. Come on, buddy. Flat call the 200 at the end when the backdoor flush comes in. When the guy bets 200 at the end on Queen, Queen, 7, 8, King. Come on. Spy options. Why raise the river if you fold to a re-raise? It's called raise folding. It's like bet folding. You're getting value from worse. And then if somebody 3-bets you, you don't have the best hand. It's not a bluff. Anyways, if you want to get on the show, you can shoot me an email at bart@crushlivepoker.com, bart@crushlivepoker.com. Going to go to our next caller here. This is a vlogger, and I think he's called in before. Andrew Vodine. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Hello, Andrew.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Andrew Voden. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Vodin.
yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
Andrew, have you been doing vlogs lately?
Yeah, I do. I release every Friday just to keep it consistent with the schedule.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
every Friday. And then where do you play out of mostly?
Basically, what used to be 52 Social, it's now Johnny Chan's 88, as
Right.
he is like majority owner now. So
Out of Houston, right?
yes.
Which is that mostly PLO in there, or?
I would say it's mostly PL. I mean, there's like 20 tables running daily. So
Okay.
it's mainly PLO, like 8 tables, and then like 4
Yeah.
to 6 tables of Hold'em, but
Got
it's
it.
pretty balanced.
Yep. And that's kind of crazy because, again, I've talked about this before, like, especially in Dallas, too. Like, TCH Dallas is just full, like, all the time. And Houston, Austin is by far the slowest city in Texas to play poker with. People think that, like, I'm saying that to, like, keep the good players away. I'm not. I'm saying it's not even close.
It's crazy that Austin was like one of the first cities with Texas rooms open too.
Right. Oh yeah, right. And then because they just opened Dallas and they've had Houston
Yeah.
too. So all right, cool. You got a hand for us?
Yeah. So this was probably 2-3 weeks ago. I know this like literally came out when you released your video for when you should call with the draw, because it was like feeling deja vu. Anyways, we're in the cutoff with 8-7 of clubs. This is 1-3 match the stack in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Johnny Chan's 88.
Yep.
We have, I think I want to say about 1.2K effective. We covered the table. And then I'll get to the stacks for the villain when it gets to it.
Okay.
But we have about 1.2K.
Yep.
There's 3 limpers. I make it $20 in the cutoff with 8-7 of clubs. Don't want to go multi-way with this hand, in position, suited connectors.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna ask you to.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm gonna ask you to repeat that here for a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Where is my mod, Mike G? Where are you, Mike? Where'd he go? I got a guy to be a mod here today for this reason, and he disappeared. Mike, sorry, Andrew. Give me 1 second.
No problem. No problem.
That's funny. That is funny. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I'm on a come on. Oh. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to. Mike, where are you? Oh, there he is. Okay. All right, let's start over. All right,
Yeah,
Andrew.
no problem.
So we're okay. So we're at 52
So we
Social,
got
which is now
3,
called
yeah.
Johnny Chan's 88. Is that right?
Yeah, Johnny Chance 88 social.
Yeah, 88 Social. Okay. So
Yeah.
1-3 match to stack, 1.2K effective. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's 3 limpers, and we're in the cutoff with 8-7 of clubs.
Okay.
We go ahead and make it $20 in position with suited connectors.
Okay. What's the standard open size here, anyways?
So depending on if the button shell's on, I size up, but usually 15 to 20. It plays like 2-5 basically.
So is this a little bit on the smaller side after 3 limps? Just curious.
Yeah, after 3 limpers, I would say this is kind of middling, a smaller size. Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean it's interesting because I know that like a lot of people will just size right to 20 right away. So even if it was 15, like I might make this if I started with 15 and then I add like 5 to each limper, that would be maybe 25 to 30. But okay, so you make it 20 from the cutoff after 3 limpers too, by the way, with 7 clubs.
Yeah.
And also too, I wonder if I would over limp here. Like usually some of the things that I'll say for beginning players is I will raise. If there's 1 limp, I ignore the limp and I'll raise with a hand that I would normally raise with. If there's 2 limps, I start to get into a situation, or what I tell a lot of beginning players is then I'll over limp with playable hands, and it might sort of be 2 to 3, and then only raise over the top with a hand that I might open from the first couple of positions. What's interesting here is like on a live stream, I might open 7-8 of clubs from the first couple of positions, but I don't necessarily know if the hand is strong, because and especially if you're sizing it a little bit down where you're just going to induce everyone to call, I'd rather have a little bit more high card value. So I guess what I would say is I would either make it larger or just over limp here with 3 limpers, specifically with 7-8 of clubs. That's my take.
With that being said, I actually agree, especially obviously what happens
okay.
post play, but I agree. I was actually thinking about over limping, but of course, as played, I'd make it 20.
Yeah.
Given that we have position and we can, drive the button out and get that last position, last act. But yeah, I agree because the blinds end up folding and then those 3 limpers do call.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you buy yourself the button, right? So blinds fold.
Yeah.
And the 3
and then the 3 limpers,
call.
It's under the gun +1 and low jack. I don't think that matters too much.
Under the gun +1.
And low jack.
2 or 3?
3. Under the gun, the +1 and the low
gotcha.
jack. Sorry.
Gotcha. No worries. Under the gun +1 and low jack. All right, cool. So looks like it's like what, like 80, 85, something like that?
84, yeah. 84. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the flop. Yep.
Flop is 10, 6, 3, club, heart, spade. 10 of clubs, 6 of hearts, 3 of spades.
10 of clubs, 6 of hearts, 3 of spades. So you've got a gut shot here, 2 of 9, 2 overcards, second pair, and a backdoor flush draw, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It checks to me, and given position, I guess this board doesn't really hit or favor our pre-flop raising range, but given that we have equity to the gutter ball and backdoor, I decide to bet here, especially when check 2 in position. So after they all check to me, I bet 45. I don't know if you would just check this flop back multi-way.
I think it's probably pretty close here. Again, against 3 people, but I do like the somewhat. This is going to be another one of my. I'm doing a podcast series called the exploitable small stakes, the definitive guide to exploits sort of at the small stakes 5-part series, and this is actually one of them, which is basically c-betting and multiple barreling dynamic types of boards where top pair will change, even multi-way. So I don't mind the bet here because you can really, really fire on a lot of disconnected high cards, ace, king, queen, jack, and then sometimes even on some clubs. The only thing that I would say is that, I mean, it's just very, very slight. Is, you know, it'd be slightly better if it was 10-6 deuce, just so that there would be a little bit less connectivity where you could sort of 10-6 deuce. I'd feel much better about barreling like a 3 or a 4, where here gets a little bit dicey. I mean, I still might barrel it, but especially if when you have a 7 in the hand. But yeah, I think overall this sets up for a nice multiple barrel even into 3 players. This is probably where I will stop though. Once it gets to like 4 players, then you're probably just burning money. So okay, so you bet 45.
Yeah, and only the low jack calls.
So fold, low jack calls, which is the weakest position here in the sense that it's not like under the gun call with 2 people behind. It's the low jack who's closing the action. So which should mean that he could be liberally barreled off more because he's got more hands. Like he could be, you know, calling with 5-6 or something like that. 174. Okay.
Yep. And then the turn brings the deuce of clubs or 2 of clubs. So now we have the flush draw.
By the way, how deep is the low jack? I'm sorry, I might have washed over that.
So the low jack started this hand with about 1,000 effective.
All right, so
approximately
1K effective. All right, so we're playing off of like 1K effective. So 174 turn is the deuce of clubs. This is what I was talking about. I mean, it brings in 4-5. It probably shouldn't be all that represented, but obviously I would continue to barrel here for the reasons that I stated, right? This guy closed the action. It wasn't like he called with people behind him that would like lean him more towards having a 10. You've picked up additional equity here. Seems like a really good spot to barrel.
Yeah, so when he checks, I do barrel for $90.
Now, I think that I would bet larger than that, though. Maybe 125 to 150. Guarantee that you get everything to fold off besides a 10 here. And then you could evaluate. I mean, a lot of times the theory goes here, too, is that like you'll see a lot of overbetting here on the turn. It's Texas. I mean, there's a possibility that somebody could have like 4-5 or something like that. So to play devil's advocate a little bit with myself is if you go for an overbet and you have a huge draw, you could get into some really, really weird scenarios here because of the stack sizes. So if you bet smaller, you know, obviously you can call across a fair amount of check raises. I mean, that's kind of my thing. I would probably still go maybe like 125, 150, but okay. So you bet 90, 95?
90, yeah. 90.
Okay. Yep.
And he check raises to 255.
Okay. To 255.
Yeah, and I don't know if it matters too much, but this player specifically is never gonna have 2 pairs, but he always has like flop sets, specifically him. So like I'm just gonna cap him to that flop set range right now.
I mean, or maybe 4-5 once in a great while. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but he most likely has a set.
I mean, actually,
I would, yeah.
Actually, 4-5 might even be slightly better. Well, it's close. You'd have to count the distribution. I was gonna say 4-5 might even be better for you because then all your flush outs would be clean. If he's got sets, sometimes it could be 1 or 2 of the outs that are cut. But then again, if he's got 4-5, you know, one of the 4s is cut anyways. But I mean, I am not even doing the math in my head here, and this has got to be a direct equity call as long as he doesn't have like a hand like ace-6 of clubs, ace-5 of clubs, you know, something like that. I mean, you've got 9 outs to clubs, right? And then you've got 3 outs to a gut shot here to a 9, right? So, you know, that's 12.
Yeah, so
that's 12 outs.
Yeah.
So 12 into like 44 or 45, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, 1 out of say like 3.5. You really only need to make 2.5 off the raise size, 2.5 to 2.6 to 1 off the raise size, meaning that when you bet 90 and he makes it to 255 total, 165 is the raise to you, right? So you probably only need to make like 350 to 400 from the entire pot. And you're probably getting that if you just call right now. If you bet 90 into 174, that's 264 plus 250. I mean, it seems like you're getting a direct price here. Anyways.
Yeah, that's why when I watched that previous video where you were going through the math, and I think it was 10 outs if he had the set, 10 out of 44, so we needed 3.4 to 1.
Yep.
and I think this spot 165 to win 430 it was.
Yep.
That's a bit under 3. That's why I was not sure if like
but I mean, if you've got 12 outs, right? It's again, sometimes a lot of people will confuse sort of the equity chance. I'm doing it a shortcut way versus pot odds, right? Now, 40, I'm just going to pull out a calculator to just do it so I can get the exact thing. But, 44 divided by 12, okay, is 3.6, which means that you have one over 3.6 to hit. That equates to 2.6 to 1 in pot odds, because if you divide 1 by 3.666, like I was saying, it's 27% equity. And that's where you get the 2.6 to 1, because obviously, 2 to 1, you only need 33%. 3 to 1 is 25%. So if 3 to 1 in pot odds equates to 1 over 4, right? 2 to 1 in pot odds equates to 1 over 3. So this is exactly what we're talking about. It's like 1 out of 3.6, 1 over 3.6, which means you need 2.6 to 1. You're getting a direct price here. I mean, this is a call all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did you call?
Yeah, I do make the call.
Okay.
River bricks out, and he just the river is the deuce of spades.
Oh.
So obviously his set turns into a boat. But he leads out immediately, and I fold.
Yeah. That's by the way, people were saying that depending on the set that he has here too, if he has a set, right, 2 of your flush outs might not be good here. So it could be 11 or 12. So it's really easy to go 11 into 44 too, right? Because 11 into 44 is just 1 and 4, which is 3 to 1. But whenever it's close, Andrew, like, you don't have to just get the direct price right now. Like, if he's got a set and you have 17 of clubs, let me ask you this question. If a 9 comes in, are you going to get paid for the rest of his stack?
Yeah. So
how about a club? You're the pre-flop rate. You're going to get paid for the rest of his stack always when you hit here. So even if you weren't getting the direct price, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is just a great spot.
So like what I was saying was, like, if he's a type player where I put him on a set immediately on that turn raise, and he's gonna barely pay off say he only calls off, like, say 100 is the max value I can get on a flush card. Like, how would I put that into the implied odds, I guess?
Well, I mean, if you bet, so like we take in the turn, I'm going to just call the pot 175 on the flop. You bet 90 into 175, that's 265. And he's raised to 255. So that's 530 and it's 160, right? 530 and it's 165 for you to call.
Yeah.
You'd basically say, oh, I'm going to make another 100. So it's actually like 630, 165 for me to call, right? Like, because I'm going to make 630. So if I just went and like divided 630 by 165, you would get 3.8. Now, remember, you only need to make 3 times the raise size. That's how this pot odds things works, right? 1 over 4. So it's not even close. Like, you absolutely, like I said, you basically almost have a direct price here. That's like the little trick when you're going for hands, is you can just basically multiply what you need for pot odds times either the bet size, or in this case, the raise size. And what people don't understand and what they undervalue is that the pot gets bigger. Like, when you bet 90 and the guy check raises to 255, it's 165 for you to call for 530. But once you call, right, the pot's going to be 700. Like, I feel you're going to get way more more than 100 when the total pot size is 700, right? So anyways, no, I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. And you can check out Andrew Vodin, Vodinh. You can just put it in the Google search or in the YouTube search. Thanks for the call, Andrew. All right, guys, last caller here. Like I said, if I seem a little bit delirious, I apologize. I'm doing the best I can. I had a minor medical procedure done this morning, and I'm in pain. to put it, I'm a little bit loopy and I'm in pain. Chris, you are up next, and you are up last. And I believe that Chris has another hand here, and this is from MGM National Harbor once again. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, that's correct.
Great. All right.
All right, so hand starts with folds to the low jack.
What's the size of the
opens
game?
to-
Is this the 2-5 game or
Oh, sorry.
5-10?
I'm sorry.
Yep.
5-10, 8-handed at the MGM National Harbor, as you mentioned.
5-10 MGM National Harbor. Okay.
Folds to the low jack, who opens to 30. And then I believe I mentioned this on the email. He's actually another Colin person. I don't want to mention his name here, but
by the way, is there a cap in this game too?
2,500.
2,500. All right. So it's 2,500 buy-in. All right. So folds to low jack. This guy, he's I don't think he's a CLP sub anymore, so it's not going to get back to him. But Jesse the Suit, he wears a bow tie. You can't miss him at MGM National Harbor, and I think he's always playing 5-10. He's probably the neediest player, I assume, in the entire player pool.
Yes, I was actually just going to mention that. He's very nitty.
Yeah.
Pre-flop at least.
Pre-flop, right.
But post-flop he seems to be pretty reasonable. So just for future reference, my thinking, I over 3-bet versus him because I think he overfolds to me. So
okay. So
anyway,
so he raises to 30. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm directly to his left in the hijack, and I 3-bet tens, black tens, so 10 of spades, 10 of clubs to 105. I would 3-bet that versus anyone, but versus Jesse, I'd probably even go wider just for reference. Anyway, folds back to him, and he calls.
And how deep are you guys, by the way?
Oh yeah, sorry, 1,350 effective.
Oh, Jack calls 1,350 effective. Okay. Yep.
All right. Flop is 9 of clubs, 8 of spades, 5 of clubs.
9 of clubs.
It's about 225 in the middle.
9 of clubs, 8 of spades, 5 of clubs. All right. So 3-bet pot.
Yep.
Low jack 30, hero in the hijack with 10-10, with the 10 of clubs, and the low jack calls. And now the board comes out, I would say, somewhat wet here. 9 of clubs, 8 of spades, 5 of clubs. But you do have black tens, and you've got a backdoor here too. Okay.
Yeah. So I actually do not like this board at all, despite having an overpair, because I think he calls me with all 9s, 8s, and 5s, and maybe even some 6-7 suited, but he folds a lot of king, queen off hands and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to go. I was debating about betting big or betting small. I don't think checking tens here is good because I need a lot of protection. I ended up going about 1/3. I bet at $80, but I don't know if you prefer a nice 160 size or something like that.
No, I don't think so. I think that betting small is better than betting large here on this board for the reasons that you stated. What you're really trying to get called by is some of the 2 overcards and backdoor types of hands and some ace highs. If you just blast for full pot, then he's going to fold all of those, and then now you're behind to queens and jacks and some of the other sets. So thinking about that range, I don't think that this would be a time to bet super large in this scenario. So I think 1/3 or even smaller than that is fine to induce a lot of these types of calls. So what do you bet, 70 or something?
I bet 80.
What is it?
80.
Okay, check.
Mm-hmm.
Hero 80.
And then he calls.
Low jack calls. And if I remember this correctly, this is really where the hand sort of, I think, goes off the rails a little bit. So now the pot is, so you just put in 160. So what is it, 370?
385.
385, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Turn is this.
Yep.
Yeah. Turn is a 7 of hearts.
Okay.
He checks.
Okay.
And I'll just walk through my thinking. While this doesn't seem like the best card for me, I don't think he has a lot of 6s here, other than specifically 6-7, which is already beating me, so it doesn't change. And only Jack 10 really improves.
Mm-hmm.
And I blocked Jack 10 pretty heavily.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I think I could still get value from maybe a 9-10 kind of hand, or maybe a flush draw type of hand, and I want to charge it. So I bet 180. And I don't need to go too big, because if I go too big, I think I'm only going to get called by hands that are better than me. But I don't know if you prefer checking in this spot. I don't think a big size makes any sense here, or maybe you disagree with that too as well.
I would probably check here. I mean, to stay entirely balanced though, because you probably just don't have that many sixes. To stay entirely balanced though, that would assume that you probably, if you had like a Jack 10 type of hand, but even then, like you're still probably betting. Like this is probably such an infrequent bet from you on the turn, and I'm just trying to kind of think through the theory. The only thing I would say is like if you had a big draw with a 10 in it, or if you had Jack 10, those would be the balanced bluffs here. But what I find interesting though is you're sort of taking an in-between sizing here. And you bet so small on the flop. Like I said, I would probably check here a lot on the turn, because I think that a lot of those sort of Broadway-ish types of hands are just going to basically fold out. But if something happens here where he raises, even though he's nitty as hell, like not only can you not fold because you're open-ended, but I just think that you're setting yourself almost up for getting played back at when you bet this turn, because this is such a low frequency bet. So again, you're betting half the size of the pot here. You're open-ended. I just think that I would check it back a lot. So you bet 180. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then he played back, as you mentioned, he raises to 450.
So hijack raises to 450. So now it looks like the pot is 560. It's like 1,000, and he didn't even really 3x it, right? It's 1,000, and it's what, like 270 for you to call, right? Something like that.
I mean, I think folding is out of the question.
Well, you're open-ended.
There's no way.
No, you're open-ended
Yeah.
and you block the nuts. But I honestly, I got to be honest with you. Like, I think folding's going to be out of the question no matter what comes. I'm serious. Like, the way that you have played this hand, because you've got black tens, I don't even know what I would ever fold on, regardless of what the card is. Like, I don't even know if it matters, especially maybe even if it's a club and he's trying to like pull something, where he's like trying to, use a scare card and you've got the 10 of clubs in your hand. But I don't really know if you miss here, right? So if any card comes besides a 6 or a jack, the way that you've played it, even though he's nitty and he's only going to have what, like maybe 600 or 700 left. It's just such a good spot for him to bluff. And if he's playing like really taggy, I just don't see how I don't know if you're going to be able to fold. So, all right. I'm assuming you call here, right?
Yeah. I call. And the river is the 3 of clubs. And as you mentioned, he jams for around 6. Yeah. He jams for 700. So or whatever it is, roughly 700.
So the river's a 3 of clubs. So it's 9 of club. Let me walk through the whole hand here again.
Yeah.
And again, I'll give you a background on who this guy is. Jesse the Suit, big knit, tax attorney in Washington. He wears a bow tie. He used to get on me for playing too loose. So you can imagine that when you guys watch the live streams. Doesn't have a flatting range in a lot of situations, but he opens from the low jack to 30. Hero 3 bets the hijack with black 10s to 105. Heads up, he calls 1350 effective. 9 of clubs, 8 of spades, 5 of clubs. Check, hero bets 80, about 1/3. Low jack calls 385. Turns the 7 of hearts, so hero is now open ended. Low jack checks, hero bets 180, and the hijack raises Jesse the Suit to 450. Obviously, hero's getting a price. Hero calls. Pot's like 1285. 9857. Hero has black 10s. River's the 3 of clubs. The front door club comes in, and he jams for how much exactly?
I think 700? It was 720 exactly, or 700, whatever, around there.
So low jack jams for 720 into 1285. So it looks like the pot is like 2,000. 720 for you to call. Put it this way. I'm not going to say that, calling down here with one pair on a one-liner and a 3 flush is ever sort of a snap call, but I feel like if there's ever a hand that you could possibly have to do it with, especially now when he takes this weird sort of, it's almost kind of bizarre to me. I don't know which Mike, right? Is that your name? Oh, Chris. It's kind of bizarre to me, Chris, because like, do you think that he's ever playing a set this way? with a
No,
one-liner out there on the turn, and then the front door comes in after you bet call the turn. By the way, what I'll also say too is that if you actually look at your range of betting on the turn, if we think that you're actually going to be checking back a lot of sort of overpairs, and a lot of your range of betting on the turn is going to consist of 10x, usually 10x of clubs, right? So it's going to be flush draws maybe that you continue on with. You make a flush here a lot. So it's like I don't buy it from him in the sense that like he'd have to have like a flush here, I think, quite a bit to make this play. I don't think he's doing it with the 6 either. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's close because with like a bare 6, but if he had pocket 6s here and he played it this way, first of all, I think that he might even donk lead turn. But if he had 6s and played it this way and you called the check raise on the turn, do you think he is jamming the river?
Yes,
You
100%.
You think he's jamming the river with 6s when the club comes in at the end when you bet call the turn?
Yes.
I mean,
maybe. I mean, I don't know 100%. That's just my opinion. I mean, maybe he's changed. I have him tagged as very nitty pre-flop, but post-flop, I don't think he's this absurdly nitty the way you're making.
No, I don't think
it's thing.
I don't think he's nitty. I don't think he plays tag. I don't think he's necessarily nitty at all. I'm just saying that you've opened yourself up to being, to sort of being kind of played at here by betting the turn. But I'm not saying that not betting. I'm not saying that if somebody didn't bet 6s all in on the river that's nitty. I'm saying you have to. If you had 6s in this spot and you were out of position and played it this way, you have to be very, very aware of what the preflop 3-better is bet calling the turn with, and it consists of a ton of flush draws. I feel like.
I guess that's a good point. I think the reason I would say he would do for 6s is I'm extremely aggressive and I make a lot of just like I'm very like laggy and make a lot of lighter calls against people. And I think it would be a mistake versus myself to not value bet 6s. And I think he would realize that. I might be mistaken. 6s would be the draw the line. There's no way he does it with a set. I mean, Jack 10, 100% I think he does this. And obviously every flush he has, he's doing this with.
I think like I said, if I could ever sort of handpick one of the better hands to call down with, it would be 10s, and your sort of turn play opens yourself up to basically playing for stacks. So I call here. I call.
That makes you feel a lot better because I ended up snap calling.
Okay, snap.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little tilted, and I didn't realize the river was a club.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I would have thought about it a little more, and I probably still would have called anyway, though.
Yeah.
But he ended up having ace jack of clubs, which makes a lot of sense, obviously. But that makes you feel a lot better, though. I was thinking that he wouldn't be doing this with like ace jack of spades, for example. Just like he turned, like he floated me with a backdoor flush draw, then just turned a gutter and decided to go bonkers with this.
You think he's just like sort of better structured than that? You mean?
Yeah. Like I feel like.
I mean, it's interesting. So what do you think he would have done if the river was an offsuit 3 after he check raised turn?
I think he would have jammed as well.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he wouldn't, but I'm just saying. I think it sounds like you think he would have raised a turn with a lot wider hands. Where I'm struggling to think of what he raised with the turn, other than like as bluffs, other than like flush draws, and then maybe like 8-10 suited.
Well, I mean, part of the issue, of course, is that you have some of the 10s, right? Like, so the primary types of draws would be like the 10x of clubs types of hands, right? That's like the best draw, and of course, you've got the 10 of clubs, sort of in your hand. But I just sort of default back to when you bet a scare. It's kind of interesting that even I'm actually a little bit. It's like I said. The spot really isn't bet a whole lot from your perspective. So from his perspective, I'm actually a little bit surprised that he raises the turn, because it just seems like you have a very, very strong hand when you're continue to bet the turn that's not really going to bet fold. Now he does have like the nut flush draw, but so when you sort of take that bet on the turn, he's got a boatload of equity. Put it this way, like I'd rather just play at you almost on the flop here. I'd expect you to bet the turn, and I'm not saying that I would necessarily always check raise flop, but I wouldn't expect you to bet the turn. So it's like if I took ace jack of clubs and just called the flop, and then you bet again on the turn, I would be kind of scratching my head a little bit because I don't really expect you to fold all that much. But
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I was honestly expecting to get raised in the flop a ton because I think he realizes that board is so much better for him.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Sure.
Someone mentioned in the chat. I think this is crazy, but I don't know if you think there's any validity. What are your thoughts on potentially 3-bet jamming the turn? I never considered it, but I don't know if you think it's any play at all.
3-bet jamming the turn. I mean, you have it. So you're just basically trying to play your hand for protection.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not really getting anything better to fold, right? You're not getting a better hand to fold.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's just a protection.
I just wanted to make sure that. Yeah.
It's just kind of a protection play.
Right.
I mean,
right.
he would. I mean, the hands that really like. Here's the thing. Obviously, if he hits a jack, you're no good here, right? So you're open ended. So he would have to have really 2 clubs that are over. Obviously, your 10s that don't improve you to a straight. So it can't be like the jack. It can't be a jack. So it's like king, queen of clubs, something like that. So I don't know. It's just, you're not really, because you have the 10 of clubs in your hand, you just don't, I don't think you need to protect against much here.
Yeah.
Though.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There might even be more value than just going call. So
yeah.
Anyways, thank you very much for the call. And thank you guys for sticking around with me. I'm trying to do my absolute best. I know some of these calls went a little bit large, but you have no idea my thoughts. Struggling through here because, like I said, if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, I had a little medical procedure done this morning that was not supposed to hurt, and I'm dying here. And I had to cancel my appearance. I was going to play on TCH Live tonight, but that's not going to happen. I texted over to Carolyn and I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it tonight. But one quick programming note, we will be on again, same time next week for a full show. And then if you want to listen to me in doing a bunch of commentary, I will be doing 21 hours of commentary for the new Hustler Live starting on Tuesday, August 3rd. I'll be in LA next week. Tuesday, August 3rd, it starts at, I believe 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern time, 5 hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then a 6-hour show on Friday, the big game. And I believe that I will be doing the very first show with David Tuckman and then going solo the rest of the week. So there's going to be a lot of talking, but there's going to be a lot of great footage that I'll be able to use in my Crush Live Crush Live Poker video series and things like that. For you CLP subscribers, I'm going to be continuing with my definitive guide to small stakes exploits, a 5-part podcast as we move forward through the week. And again, if you want to get on the show, you can do so by emailing me, bard@crushlivepoker.com. bard@crushlivepoker.com will get you on the show. And if you're a CLP subscriber, you will always get a personalized response from me. Just do me a favor and let me know that you are a subscriber. Thank you guys very much for keeping it real. I am going to go and take an Epsom